Good morning and welcome. So glad you could join us this morning. Thank you for being here. And I hope that I was going to say, I hope your summer is going really well, but then I realized that maybe you're from the southern hemisphere, so I hope your winter is going well. But whatever season you are in, wherever you are in the world, I hope that you're enjoying it. Let's see. All right. So, um, I don't really have a whole lot to talk about here at the beginning, so I think we'll just dive right in. Hey Pamela, hey Amy, good to see you all here. 10:30 p.m. in Sri Lanka. Well, thanks for staying up, Pamela. Appreciate it. Hi, Ravenheart. Good to see you, my dear. All right, so let's dive in. Hmm. Hello, beloved ones. It is wonderful to be here with you today. I thank you for your willingness to participate with me in these videos, whether you're experiencing it live or watching it later. Your participation brings energy to the experience, and that energy supports your energy, your participation supports the content of these videos so that they are putting out a kind of beacon for those that need to find them. So you may think that you're just tuning in because you want to listen to my teaching and to integrate the teaching and to receive the energy so that you can have a better life for yourself and those around you. Maybe you feel it adds to the quality of the service that you give and provide to the people around you. But I also wanted you to know that your participation is service. That the service you provide by watching, coming live, allows others to find these videos. And I promise you, the people who need them most are finding them here. So thank you for your service, beloved ones. Which leads me into what I want to focus on today. I spoke last time about embracing an ordinary life, giving yourself a break and toning down your expectations of yourself and stepping out of the expectations of maybe the mainstream, of your culture, whatever that is, and giving yourself the space to discover the beauty and the wonder that is a part of your ordinary, everyday life. And so now we bring that same focus, that same feeling into service. Many times over the years that I have spoken to people individually through this body, I have encouraged people to do service. And some people have agonized for years about going out and doing service, not doing the right service, trying to figure out what the best fit for them will be, and feeling as though they don't really have any kind of skill in which they can do service. There's a lot of fear around being of service. And everyone has their own personal fears. And you may be surprised what your fears are. And you may be surprised by your own sort of expectations around service, that it must be sort of grand, or it must be focused in a particular way, that because you're on a spiritual path, that your service should be spiritual, meaning that you should somehow figure out if you want to be a healer or a channel, or you want to be involved with a group that is trying to create a healing center or a spiritual center, right? There's this feeling that because you are on a spiritual path, because spirituality seems to take up a lot of space inside of you, because that's the focus of your life, that then your service must be a kind of obvious extension of that. But I'm here today to try to dismantle your expectations, your fears, your prejudice. And let's put service in terms of ordinary, everyday life. I encourage people to do service for a variety of reasons. And let's be clear again, I've spoken of this before, that I'm talking about service rather than servitude. So what's the difference? In essence, servitude is when you are trying to do service, but fear is motivating your actions or your reactions. Fears such as wanting to please others, wanting to be liked and to be loved, feeling that you have to earn that love from others, so being of service or doing things for others, it feeds into that belief that you are less than, so you have to earn everyone's love or respect or attention. When fear is motivating your service, or even if it's a mixture, partly it's motivated by love, but more than that, it is motivated by fear. When that's the case, the results of your service will sort of leave you flat. You'll feel spread too thin. You'll feel sometimes resentment, because the motivation for the service is to get something back, right? And if you're not getting that back directly, that service can start to fester and nurture resentment. Servitude can leave you feeling exhausted, sort of strung out, not fulfilled, empty, something's lacking, and then oftentimes people turn that back on themselves to say, oh, it must be me, I'm lacking, because here I am giving and giving and giving, and I don't seem to ever get in return. And I say to you, if that is your experience with service, check your motivation and work with that. Because when you do service from love, or at least love outweighs the fear, what you get back is enormous. There is a sense of fulfillment, a sense of being energized, revitalized, sort of plugged in to the source. And that is 100% true. And the best part, when you do service from love, that is motivated from love, you are doing it simply for the joy of being of service. You don't expect anything back, meaning that the people you are serving don't have to give you anything directly in return for you to feel fulfilled, for you to experience the joy of service. Servitude is about making yourself look good to others, maintaining a certain image. Service is simply about the desire to connect with others and to give of yourself. And that's it. Some people will receive that giving and it might change their life. Other people don't want it, or they might resent you because they are caught up in their own pain, that they have to, that they require service in their lives. Not everyone asks for service or asks for their needs to be met joyfully. For some people, it is a source of shame and frustration and pain. But you can still experience the joy of service, regardless of how it is received, because your experience, not all of it, some, of course, it's all life, so there's going to be some pain and disappointment, and your fears might rise up and take over your service and flip you back into servitude. But when you start to remember, oh, I'm feeling exhausted, I've switched my motivation, the tilt has gone the other way and fear has taken over my service. And you bring yourself back to love. Because love will always tell you to just keep giving and giving and giving, because love has an endless energy, an endless, infinite supply to give. And you are simply the conduit. You are the vessel. You are not attached to the outcome. You don't have expectations of how it will be received or how people will perceive you as you are giving. You are there taking these actions simply for the joy of service. Let your service be ordinary, whatever it is. Whether you are flying to the other side of the world to offer your medical expertise to those who are suffering, or it is simply you taking your neighbor to the grocery store or bringing them groceries back. Whether anyone ever finds out about your service or not, it doesn't matter. Let your service be ordinary. Everyday service. A way of life, not an aspiration or a goal that you keep just far enough out that you never really take action on it. There is a reason that some people are born into this world in situations where they need service, and others are born into situations in which they are available to offer service. Because you all have to figure out how to live together, to unify. Pain and suffering are one of the great motivators for change. Whether you're the one in pain or you are the one observing others in pain, let that motivate your love within you to give. Don't wait for retirement. Don't wait for that lightning strike of perfect clarity of how you are going to serve the world. That is fear talking. That is fear keeping you from service. There are literally millions of ways to do service in your world. Some are very, very small, and they might be within your friendship circle. Some might be a little wider in your community. Some might be happening on the other side of the world. There is no perfect time except now, this moment. And it can be easy to believe that what you do for a living is your service. And that is very true. But if you are receiving monetary compensation for your work, then it's different than service. I'm encouraging you to seek out ordinary service. Look for opportunities to do ordinary service for which you do not get monetary compensation. And why is that? Because the money, the monetary compensation creates a particular kind of dynamic. I am not saying it's good or it's bad, but it's a very particular kind of dynamic. There's an expectation, right? You are giving of yourself, maybe your soul gives, and people are giving you a monetary compensation in exchange. There is that expectation that you are going to be paid for your work. And that's absolutely right. You have to pay for your life and your expenses. But when I talk about ordinary, everyday service, I'm talking about embracing and integrating the joy of service from love as a part of your everyday, ordinary life. Start to look for ways to do service, and not from a reactive place. Oh, mother said I have to do that. I'm going to jump right in and do that. Pause. Feel it out. Does this feel right for me? Does this feel like something I can give of myself with love? For the joy of giving? If you keep telling yourself as you give, as you serve, that your job is to love and show up, or that your job is to show up and love. Because when you don't have the expectation of monetary exchange, it can freeze something inside of you so that it becomes easier to give with no expectation of how it's received, or how people perceive you, or what you're going to get out of it. But it just opens you to the wonder and the delight of giving of yourself with love. I will tell you, beloved ones, It is that which helps you all to feel deeply useful. And that's very much a part of the human condition. You need to know that you are contributing something to your life, to your community, to your world. And this is not just some people feel this way. This is what it is to be human. Because it is that feeling of usefulness that connects you with others and takes you out of isolation and into connection. And as you are all coming out of this pandemic, reconnecting is vital to your happiness. It is vital to your growth. And it is vital to the overall well-being of humanity. And again, it doesn't have to be big. Let it be ordinary, let it be every day, and let it become simply a part of how you live your life. Don't make service through love a special occasion. Let it just become ordinary. And I promise you, it will provide some of your most extraordinary moments in the whole of your life. Be kind to yourself. And let the word spiritual flow into every aspect of life so that there is no service closed to you as a spiritual individual. Let it all be spiritual. And the road will open effortlessly to you. And I'll be with you to guide you, to support you every step of the way. Namaste. Well, hey everybody, good to see you all here. Oh, good morning, Melinda, Arlia, Spirit Meeting Clayton. How awesome to see you here, Felicia and Deborah. Well, I can only share my personal experience, and I love what Mother was saying about taking the financial piece out of service, because I know for myself, and of course all of you who've been in my community for a while, you know that I do a whole variety of all kinds of stuff. And like these live streams, obviously these are free. And then of course there are other things that I do charge for monetary compensation. And I have to say in my life, and this is not the only arena in which I do service. I do a lot of service in a whole different arena in which I don't get paid anything except joy. that's my payment, which is just amazing. And I have to say that when the monetary piece is taken out of the equation, I have this sort of effortless joy. Like, of course, I want these live streams to be good and I want the technology to go off. So, and of course, I want them to be great. But honestly, if there's a glitch or it can't happen, or, I wake up on a Monday morning and there's no internet, I really don't stress about it. It's like, okay, it's not a big deal. I do my best. I give what I can. If it doesn't work out, it's no problem. But boy, when you put that monetary piece in, I worry a lot more about my retreats and, the things that I have to plan that require that monetary exchange. And in this other arena that I do service, I just have almost no stress whatsoever. I mean, it's just effortless. And it is such a massive source of joy for me. I had no idea until Mother came into my life and taught me the difference between service and servitude, and how service is such, particularly without that monetary piece, how service is such a huge gateway to joy. And it's not that I don't get joy from the events that I charge for. I absolutely do. Like, I just love them. But, there's just a lot more stress around it. Whereas the free stuff, it's almost stress-free. And that is just so, I don't know. I can only tell you in the last, 20, gosh, how long has it been now? 27 years. This is the one thing that it still amazes me is such a huge source of joy. And I can't imagine living any other way now, because in my mind I think, oh, if I stopped doing all that, it would literally cut off like over half my source of joy in my life. And that would never be worth it. I can't imagine doing that. And Mother's always providing me with new ways to be of service. Little ways, big ways, medium-sized way. Like, it's just, once you make it a way of life, and once it's just ordinary, like that's just how you live your life, she is constantly providing ways. But here's the great part. She's constantly providing ways to do service that are healthy for you. There's always opportunities for me to slide back into fear and kind of, get strung out and all that kind of stuff she described. But I've gotten pretty good over the years of recognizing my limits, what my needs are. I try not to overgive, and mostly I don't, because she's taught me how to be careful and just be aware of how I give. And am I giving from fear? Because that exhausts me every time, without every single time it exhausts me. So it's like that's my barometer of my giving and my service. Am I energized or am I exhausted? And I don't mean tired, like, oh wow, I had a really good day and physically, and I feel tired because I had a good day working or being of service. I'm talking about that mental exhaustion where I feel like, oh my God, I just feel like the life's just been sucked out of me. That's when I'm in servitude. That's when my motivation has shifted. And that's when I need to stop and pause and go within and say, okay, what am I afraid of? What's happening for me? What part of me needs attention and love and some, focused effort. And that gets me right back on track. Um, so anyway, I just wanted to share that because I love service. I'm like a service geek at this point. I love it so much. And I never thought I could do it without all the people pleasing and the codependency and the exhaustion and the kind of doormat type of behavior on my part. I just never thought I could do it. And I I meet a lot of people in what I do who are like, "Oh, that's all I do is give. I can't be of service. I have to stop giving, because that's all I do is give, give, give." But it really is in the motivation. It really, really is. It's not about the giving or even where you're giving or to whom you're giving. It's what is motivating you, love or fear. And when fear is dominant in the motivation, it's it's not going to have that fulfillment. It's not going to have that joy. It's not going to have that feeling like you're just plugged in to the awesomeness. And and the answer is not to stop giving. It's to go inside and feel like, okay, why am I giving? What's driving the bus here? And I'm ready to get off that particular bus and get onto a different one. Um, and I'm really glad I did because I was one of those people in intense servitude. And it was miserable. It was just miserable and exhausting. So I'm very grateful that she has taught me how to do this in a way that is an amazing way of living for me. So thank you all again for being here today and listening to my ramblings, and of course supporting Mother in her efforts to help all of us live a more wondrously ordinary life. Or gloriously ordinary life. So have a fantastic week. I will be here next week at the same time. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, Great to see you, Ricardo, and much love to all of you. Have a fantastic week. Mwah. Bye-bye.